Just get to work here. Got nothing. So get some moisture in there too, perhaps. Oops. Very well at all. Sorry about that, everybody. Nobody's here. Nobody saw that. Very good. Very good. Very good. There we go. That's better. All right. Glad nobody was here for that. Let's get reoriented here. All right. Hey, somebody's here. Good to see you. So since somebody's here, I'll start my preamble while I work here. Working on a portrait commission here. This is actually one that I screwed up. I accidentally smeared a bunch of ink on the last version of it. It's kind of a blessing in disguise. I got a new type of ink for my fountain pen, and so we're going to be doing this one in the fountain pen, which is my preferred method of drawing. With the fountain pen, I like to go directly onto paper with the ink. I find that it is it lends itself to that. The fountain pen is a very loose kind of tool to draw with. It's very light. It's very responsive to any movements in the hand. So I really like the way that it draws and the way that I am able to draw with it. I'm not able to do this really with other mediums. So that's what we're doing. And yeah, we're just diving right in. And then after I do this, I have a new type of ink for this, as I said earlier, which when dry is completely indelible. So I will be going back over this drawing with watercolors to kind of, you know, bring it to life a little more as per instructions. Thanks for joining. Hey, thanks for the sub. I appreciate that. Thanks for the kind words too. Thanks for viewing. But it's practice and interest. That's all it takes. Anybody can do it if you're interested in it. You can make yourself, you know, practice at it consistently, but I think also enjoying it too, finding joy in it is key. Then, you know, and maybe it's not drawing. People have all kinds of hobbies, you know, but I think no matter what it is, it's good to have an outlet where you can kind of let those qualities come out in your life, any sort of hobby. Something to do with your hands, something to work on, a little project, you know. It's good for you. Hey, thanks for joining, everybody. If anybody missed my preamble, I'm just working on a portrait commission here. I had started this one last week and got very close to finishing it when I smeared ink across it and botched it. And during that time, I had gotten a new fountain pen ink in the mail, so in redoing this commission to get it delivered on time and to a satisfactory degree, I opted to try out this new ink, which is completely indelible, so I will be able to go over top of this with watercolors once the drawing is complete. The fountain pen is my preferred method of drawing. I love the quality in which it skates across the page as opposed to most other tools. It's a very intuitive and expressive tool to use. And yeah, so I decided I could do this thing properly now. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise having botched the previous commission, which I might try to save and send it along with this one too, since I took the extra time, you know. It'd probably be a nice thing to do. But yeah. So far I'm really liking this one compared to the last attempt. Even though I was pretty happy with the last attempt, it had a lot of good qualities about it. I was liking the way the watercolor washes were turning out, and I did a pretty good job with the dip pen on that one. I used a dip pen because that ink is completely indelible, and you don't want to use that type of ink in a fountain pen because it'll gum the whole thing up, and it's just not good. It'll ruin your pen. And this is an investment, you know. It's they can get expensive, but as far as fountain pen's concerned, this one's on the cheaper side, and it's the only drawing utensil I've used since I got it. So if you're into drawing at all, check out fountain pens. The one I'm using is the Pilot Prera fountain pen. I think it costs around like $35, maybe $40. I think I got a fine tip, I believe. And the reason I like it is you know, you can use cartridges in it, but I like to use the converter, which is a piston that is refillable with ink. And I bought initially this type of ink here, and I bought it 2 years ago, and I just recently got to the end of it. It's a good ink, but like I said, it's not completely indelible, so if it gets wet, that's it. Your drawing's going to smear, even if it's an old drawing. And for that reason, I also didn't feel comfortable doing it with commissions, even though it's my preferred method of drawing, because I couldn't attest to the longevity of a piece drawn with that ink. But this ink I got here, carbon ink, platinum black, completely indelible. The black quality to it seems to be a lot deeper than the Pilot ink that I had used before. And it also seems to go on like a lot smoother. Like, I don't know, there's a more crisp line to it, but it's still, in the end, the pen still draws the same, which is great. So I feel like I finally unlocked a new level with the fountain pen because of this ink, and I'm very excited. So again, in a way, botching the previous commission attempt, kind of a blessing in disguise, because now I get to really test drive this new ink, and it's going to make commissions go faster. Unlike the dip pen, I go in with pencil with the dip pen first, and then, you know, put the ink lines over top of that, and that can be a little time consuming because you got to redraw it basically twice. With the fountain pen, I'm used to just diving right in, so I can just dive right in with ink. It's great. Makes commissions go a lot faster. They're also a lot more fun because, again, this is my preferred method of drawing. And I think you also get a better drawing out of me too. So in the end, I think the customer will be satisfied as well. So again, I think this is a nice thing that happened here. How you guys doing? I see the view count going up and down, but it's pretty steady. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Really appreciate you. I'm happy to answer any questions about the process or and whatever in the chat. Otherwise, I'll unless something comes to mind or whatever, I'll just kind of continue drawing for a bit. If you're wondering why I have the tracing paper here, it's that I don't smear anything. It's good to work left to right, but sometimes you gotta backtrack, and that's why you get the tracing paper, so you're not rubbing any oils or anything from your hand directly on the artwork or accidentally rubbing your hand in a little wet spot of ink. So that's a good tip. Same works the same with pencil too. If you draw with pencil, it's good to have a little bit of tracing paper to put under your hand if you're doing a real elaborate drawing. It's going to save you some erasing later, and you also go to sit down on your couch and then you realize you put a big imprint of graphite on it or something, and then you gotta deal with that when you could have just put tracing paper down and saved yourself the headache. So this is going to be the fun part. We got to kind of creep up on how far out we want this back of the head to go. I kind of have it set up here, but we can always expand upon this. That's kind of the thing with the pen. You want to kind of give yourself strategies. It's not a one-to-one copy you're doing, but kind of a simulation in that you give yourself strategies to where if you got this proportion wrong, well, it's like, well, we can still expand it without losing what this thing will look like, And welcome, welcome. Thank you for stopping by, everybody. Bringing it around, start adding a little bit of value into here, a little bit of value there. Okay, not too much, and then this doesn't come too far. You got enough free space there, so yeah, that looks pretty good. And then a lot of this is going to be in shadows, so it's hard to see. I apologize, I do talk to myself sometimes when I draw. It helps to, it's kind of the thought process. You're just kind of analyzing and looking at what you got and judging what it's going to look like. And you got to make compromises where you're going to make them and make your judgment is like, all right, how compromising is that going to be to the drawing? And hopefully part of drawing is trying to plan for the future there. Hopefully you've done yourself some favors, but that just comes with practice, It's not some people are really good at that instinct. They just got it, but I think mostly everybody is just years of practice, Hey, welcome everybody. Good to see everybody here. I guess the obligatory like and subscribe if you're liking what you're seeing. If not, that's cool too, but figure that's what you're supposed to say or whatever. But either way, I appreciate you watching. me center that so you guys can see what I'm doing there. That might be a little better. I can't tell. Well, maybe that's the same. I'll move it a little more. That should be pretty good. Yeah. Let's generally keep what I'm drawing in the center there ought to be the idea. Let's kind of do that. We got a little bit of going for it. Now I'll just kind of contour line the rest of the way down because it's not exactly dark enough area. It's more of a mid. And it kind of gets a little darker as we get towards there. Oh yeah, I like that. Man, this pen drawing is so much better than the other one. I'm very happy with this. It's going so much faster. You hadn't have any water in a little bit. Here's your reminder. Might have to refill the pen soon. Well, you guys can watch me do that, I guess. It's an interesting process. this out. Yeah, this is kind of a trouble spot here. 'Cause you got a lot of these vague kind of variations in value from some of the smaller wrinkles on the shirt that you wouldn't really see. So it's just, you gotta kind of, you don't want to put nothing there because then it's too flat, you know. So again, I think the secret is to always just kind of think about contour and just find, you know, where those wrinkles are and make sure they just follow the body up like that naturally and they're consistent with how you've kind of rounded out the shoulders there. And I'd say we've gotten pretty decent proportions here for, I mean, we're just kind of eyeballing it. That's what you do with the pen, you just eyeball it. You know, we're not doing an underdrawing, so we're just making sure we're looking and finding points of reference where we can and just going for it. You know, again, in the spirit of how I feel this pen draws, just very expressive and intuitive. And it's best, I feel, to lean, your process should include why you're using a certain tool, at least I feel. So that's when I feel I've gotten my best results, if I'm using a tool that kind of supports the way I'm approaching or the way I'm wanting to approach something. Whereas, you know, with the dip pen and pencil or even micron pens, I feel like I'm kind of forcing how I want to draw rather than allowing those mediums kind of tell me how they want to draw, you know, because they all have different feels and they can all do different kind of things, even though reaching towards the similar conclusion there, as similar as you can get from medium to medium. But that's kind of the fun thing with art. No two mediums will can't have the same approach every time. So that's kind of the cul-de-sac I've backed myself into by enjoying this pen so much. It's kind of made me stagnant in other areas, but you know what, there's time to make up for that. There's always time. Until there's not, but you know, we never know when that'll be. So until then, there is time. Thanks, Brian. Oh, that's probably Cousin Brian. Hey, thanks, Cousin Brian. Hey, hit the like, hit the subscribe if you haven't, everybody. I guess I'm on YouTube. You got to say that every now and again. That's like the line, you know. But, you know, I wouldn't be doing this if I weren't trying to grow the channel in some way, but it's also kind of fun. But, you know, there's a practicality to everything. But either way, I appreciate anybody just tuning in, even if it's just pleasant to have someone silently draw, so I'll go back to not talking. so we can just go ahead and draw this line. Because it won't matter, because it'll be disguised by, again, the dark shadow there. Boy, I can't say how pleased I am with this ink. I'm so happy I got it. It's just, again, the perfect time to screw up a commission, right when I get this ink. So if you're a fountain pen guy, this ink is really good. Platinum carbon ink. You can watercolor right over top of it. And then again, the pen I'm using is the Pilot Prera fountain pen. I wouldn't call it a budget fountain pen, but as far as fountain pens are concerned, it is very inexpensive, $35. And then I bought an inkwell here. This is the old ink I'm using, or I was using. But it's very good value. I've only recently gotten to the bottom of that ink, and I bought it 2 years ago. So if you're looking for a good drawing investment, the Pilot Prera fountain pen, and I wouldn't advise getting that ink. I would get the platinum carbon ink. That is a superior ink, around the same price. Might be a little bit smaller of a jar, but I don't anticipate running out of it anytime soon. There's a lot more ink in there than I think you would think, you know? Or at least it seems like it. But yeah. That is the tools of the trade today. Another drink of water. Get some if you haven't. That means we can kind of estimate whereabouts this will be here. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for stopping in wherever you are. I hope you're having a good Monday. I guess this is the true test, whether or not I can draw a hand. We'll find out. Okay. Hands always look weird until they really start to come together at the end if you got it right. So it's always a nice fun tightrope walk whenever you're drawing hands, especially the way I do it. I don't really, as you can see, I don't draw like the frame or the skeleton to, kind of hang it on. I just kind of, I'm just going for it, man. Just looking and drawing. Looking and reacting. I will admit it does start to feel like it is the speed wobbles here. This could be what makes or break this drawing, so we're going to just approach it as conservatively as possible. Try to flesh out what we got so far. And try to create backdoors for ourselves, possibly, or points of reference that we can always come back to, because that's what's going to make the drawing consistent. And it's consistency that I think makes a good drawing. It's not necessarily accuracy, although you do strive for accuracy. I don't think that's the main point. You want to do your best to try to remain consistent with what you're doing, but having something to reach for, especially an observational drawing, is, I think, the push and pull that is interesting. Still, it's pretty funny, but we're not going to give up yet. We haven't drawn the whole hand. You can't judge it yet, Well, I guess you can. Feel free to. That's fine. But I always wait till I complete it. Try to reserve my judgment. Because there's still one finger left. So we got to bring it home. So let's do that. Let's bring it home. Bring this pinky home. matched it. That's all right, we still... Yeah, I think it's okay. Yeah, that'll save it. That's good. We do some line stuff, and then we do get kind of a hard line right here. But until then, we can kind of shade right there. We got a little bit of that right there, so that'll be all right. Yeah, that's fine. I think once we get the rest of that around that filled in, it'll fit well enough. That's kind of the fun part with the fountain pen. Sometimes you do get a wee bit of wonkiness, but it's not necessarily, like I'm looking at the, what do you call it? Proportion, and it doesn't look too disproportioned. It looks mostly all right. A lot of what you're going for is passable, and I know this is a commission. It's like, oh, you shouldn't just go for passable, but it's like, no, it's like this is the process of the fountain pen, you know? Everything's just kind of passable. The whole drawing is passable, and then it comes together as kind of its own thing, but still, hopefully, the likeness of the subject remaining, you know? Again, there's still something we're striving for, but we're not going to beat ourselves up if it's not a one-to-one recreation. That's what a photograph would be for, you know? And I'm not a photographer, I'm a draftsman, or whatever you call it. I draw. Let's see here. So we're going to start coming down a little bit here. That looks good. Yep, that's that. Okay, let this one up down like. And this is a white, very soft looking sweater, so we definitely don't want to put too many lines on this. Just kind of imply some of the pattern and the texture of the fabric. And that's kind of all you need to do. I get some of that receding there. And it's kind of a checker pattern, but I don't want to make it go two ways. I think just kind of having it follow and then maybe doing the pattern the other way with the watercolor would be the way to do it. So again, we'll approach it conservatively, because we can always, if I don't like it later, we can always come back with the pen and add that later. Although we do need to be careful about going over the watercolor, because there might be more of a chance that it'll bleed upon application. So we'll test that before we do any watercolors, just to see what our touch-up situation's looking like post watercolor with the pen. That might not be a bad idea. I think I need a little bit more contrast right here. Yeah, more of a implied line. Okay. And then this goes to about right there, that forearm there. And then the sweater covers it up for the remainder of the forearm. I remember this looking wonky too on the other drawing, but it did come together. So again, we're not gonna just quit. That would be foolish. We've come this far. Now, if I spilled a bunch of ink over top of this, then we would have to face facts. But I did that last time. I smeared a bunch of ink, so hopefully that means we won't do it again. We already done it once, you know. And maybe good fortune smiles down upon me. That would be nice. Yeah, we got a little bit of value up here too, so we can kind of follow this contour here. Value on here too, so you got a little bit like where the knuckles are. I think that'll help unflatten the hand a little bit. Yeah, that looks, I mean, yeah, I'm fine with that. That comes together. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that. Can't drink water. And if you're still here, if you haven't already, please like, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. I'm gonna try to be going live, maybe not every day, but try to do it like 3 times a week, maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah, I have a good time doing this. Get some work done. See what other people are up to. Grow the channel a little bit. I think it's mutually beneficial. Glad you're here. Happy to have you. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate you. And if you're on Instagram, you can follow me at schoon.art, SCHOON art. And there you can find, I've been posting almost daily lately, but new drawings, stuff I'm working on. You know, I do commissions. I got a comic book I've made, so I've got a couple of comics I'm working on. Various collaborations and stuff, and yeah. If you like the stuff I do, I got original art for sale in my Shopify. You can find the link to that in the description. You know, I got original art, and I also have some zines for sale. I have the aforementioned comic book, Gut and Ghost, about a pile of guts and a ghost and their roommates, and their light goes out and they need to get it turned back on. And the various, you know, non-answers and non-sequiturs they encounter along the way. Currently working on a follow-up to that, although I haven't made a new page for that in a little bit, but I have several pages storyboard and written. I also have a couple of art zines. If you enjoy this type of work, I have a portfolio zine of portrait work that I've done in pen and ink. And I also have an art book called After Frank Miller, where I took the Dark Knight Triumphant pose and tried to cram as many characters as I could into that pose, and it was a lot of fun. I drew and printed the whole thing in about a month in preparation for the Charleston Zine Fest, and that was a lot of fun to do. A lot of drawing, a lot of formatting, but the book came out really great. All zines are only $5. And if you buy all 3, that's probably the best value, because then you only got to pay shipping once, you know. I also have I did the cover for a collected Crom the Barbarian graphic novel that a friend of mine put together named Kurt Bruegel. He wrote his own original stories for it, and then also collected the public domain comics from Gardner F. Fox and John Junta. Put them all in one place, and it's a really great read. Kurt's illustrations are absolutely beautiful. And I did a variant cover for it. And you can find that also in my shop for $13. It's a very good read. Anybody's into sword and sorcery or adventure comics or anything of the like would probably really enjoy it. And that's the end of my sales pitch. I'll leave that there. But thank you so much for stopping by, everybody. There's no obligation to check any of that stuff out, but since I got you, I might as well make you aware of it. But you can find all that in the description and in the bio of my YouTube channel as well. Might leave that open, that would be kind of nice. Because then we can kind of take the drawing this way and leave it open that way. But we do gotta we're still in proportion here, so that's good. And then about out of here is when we start to get the little seam in the shirt there. And seams are great because they will follow the contour line of the shirt and the body, because the shirt is on the body. So that's a great, excellent point of reference for drawing the body. Seams are really great. You often see that in a lot of, like Paul Pope draws a lot of seams on his stuff. That's one of the reasons I like his bat suit a lot. It's got a lot of seams on it, so it makes it look like there's a lot of depth and dimension to that bat suit and a lot of weight to it, because it allows for him to draw these like kind of lines that are overlapping and underlapping and stuff like that. Raphael Albuquerque, not Raphael Albuquerque, what is his name? Raphael Grandpa. He does a lot of that too. He's got a lot of seams. And then even to an extent, Frank Miller, he likes to have a lot of seams and folds and wrinkles in his fabrics that he draws on superheroes. He does it to a cartoony extent though, but I think there's still charm to that again. But I'm a Frank Miller apologist. You'd probably guess that. I have a art tribute zine to him. So I like Frank Miller a lot. I think he's a living legend, I guess, but that's not really a hot take or anything. That's pretty obvious. Mobius does the same thing though. He's another one that, you know, there's a real, when he draws these things, he makes sure they have dimension by, you know, allowing for his lines to dip and dive, and part of that is wrinkles and seams, you know. And those things always follow contour, and contour is really what you're looking at when you look at stuff like that, because that's what allows for the illusion of dimension. It's the way these lines move across the flat surface to make it look like it's not flat. Let's see here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then we can kind of balance this out, because it lightens up here for sure. So we don't want too much. We don't want to lose the contour. And then we even have some of this that kind of follows it down into the armpit here. So it gets a little, we can allow for it to go a little darker here. Oops. Get another sip of water here. Make sure we're always staying hydrated when we're working, even if it's sedentary work. And if it's sedentary work, you know, always make sure you have opportunities to get up and walk around or stretch out or whatever, get the blood pumping. It's good for you. this out a little bit. Let's see, we can definitely draw the edge of the sweater here because we got some hair. That's pretty dark right here. It kind of extends from this. Excellent. That's the other thing it's fun to do. If you ever find yourself getting a little bored on a part of the drawing, just go to a different part. There's nobody that'll stop you. And it's honestly better for you to kind of break your concentration from something if you're hitting a wall and then move on to a different part of the drawing where you had left off, and now you got fresh eyes and a fresh perspective because of what you just did on the other part of the drawing. So no matter what, every part of the drawing informs another part of the drawing, even if they're all the way across the page. It's all still part of the same drawing. It's a gestalt, I guess, is the would be the term for that, perhaps. I don't know. I'm probably using that incorrect. So if you know, please correct me in the chat or the comments. progress here, so that's good, but might have to call it quits in a little bit. But I'm happy with the progress made, and I'm very thankful for y'all for stopping in and watching me make this progress. I like to share the process here as much as I can, but sometimes I gotta get these drawings to a place where I feel comfortable sharing them while I work on them, if that makes sense, you know. It's often a little hard to start a completely fresh drawing in front of somebody, but not entirely impossible. We'll work up to that. Let's get a little bit more done on this side. At least map this out so we don't come back later and perhaps find ourselves confused or something, but we'll get a little bit more of that mapped out, and then we'll call it quits. Thank you so much for stopping by. We had a good audience retention here today. Really appreciate you guys. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. That would be really neat. I'm going to try to go live every so often, and hopefully aim for like 3 times a week. And then I have regular videos that I post. I'm getting close to the end of a sketchbook, so I'll probably do a sketchbook tour soonish. Probably before I complete it. That way we can leave it open-ended for a part 2 or something, you know. Maybe people would like that, I don't know. But I'm really happy with this sketchbook. I'm eager to show it off, actually. So maybe I'll do that sooner than later. That might be fun. I'm happy with that. I think the client will be as well. We'll just call it there for now. We're pretty much near the finish line here. I'll give you a non-angled look at the whole thing. Here's it zoomed out a little bit. But I'm pretty happy with that. Once we're done with the drawing, we'll be hitting that with watercolor, and maybe once I'm going with that, we'll do that on the live stream too. That might be fun. So thanks again for stopping by, everybody. Once again, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate you. And if you're on Instagram, you can follow me at schoon.art, SCHOON _ART. You can find that link in the description of this video. And you can also find that in my bio on YouTube. And if you like what I do, I got original art for sale and zines and books and all kinds of fun stuff. So check out my shop. Links also in the description. Thanks again for stopping by and have a wonderful rest of the day.